Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Pots TV. I'm the host Potsy, and today we're going to start this video with quite a few shoutouts, 34 to be exact. These people have helped me in various ways, ranging from supporting getting this channel started, to sharing and spreading the word for me, to just being amazing friends that I can always depend on to be there no matter the game we play. And if I don't give you a shout out this time, stay tuned for more videos and you just may get a big old Potsy shout out in the next one. So the first shout out is going to be to my girlfriend for being so supportive of me in this. I do kind of play games a lot, and I'm sure she does see that I play them a lot. And some people are okay with this, some people aren't. So I do appreciate that she supports me in this. My second shout out is going to be to my dad, as well as the third one's going to be to my son, both of which who are supporting me in this channel as well. And I really do appreciate both of them. So the next 31 shout outs are going to be from a couple of different games that I've played. The last one being Kingdom Maker, which is the game I'm making these videos for. So we'll start off with Link, Persephone, Fionn, Oliver, Ticonderoga, Daenerys, King Aiden, all you guys from Immortal Conquest. You guys are awesome. I miss y'all guys. We don't talk as much as we used to, but I still appreciate y'all and think about y'all all the time. Now for the Lord of the Rings games, it was Rise to War, the mobile game. These are some of my friends there, as well as some of the ones from Immortal Conquest also migrated to this game. And I saved time to just shout out one per game, I guess is how we'll call it. So these guys, like I said, from Lord of the Rings, Rise to War, great friends, great supporting people, have been there for a while in my life. And that's going to be Lucifer Morningstar, Forgotten, who has changed his name to Fives, Kurt, Kingslayer, Boromir, Captain Apples, Gollum, and EJ. And don't forget, on EJ, he actually has his own channel on YouTube, and he does most of the content for Lord of the Rings Rise to War. So now we're going to get into the Kingdom Maker shoutouts. These guys have been here since I've started playing the game, as well as a special shout out to Rebel, which is one of the staff members in the official Discord, for allowing me to be a content creator for this game, and I really appreciate that and the support that they have gave me. So here we go. We've got Bolt, Master Nips, Darth Vader, Blackwall, Nelly, Yide, Hawk, Aeroantium, Blackthorn, Farron, Skullcrush, Odin, Saturn, Artorias, and Wolf. You guys are all awesome. I really appreciate y'all and hope to game with y'all for a long time to come. Again, stay tuned in for more shoutouts. Subscribe to be the first to know when a video goes up. If you like the video, destroy that like button and let me know down in the comments what you think I should cover next. Now let's log into the game so we can go over today's content. I'm going to log right on in. Jump into the game. Got some stuff finishing up there. So, today's episode of Pots TV is going to cover a very important topic. You have seen armies and general army sizes, but today we're going to see the various troops and siege weapons the game currently offers, as well as the various ways to bolster and power up your units, which there are a lot of ways in this game to do this. So we're going to start off with the infantry units. We're going to go down here to the tier 1 militia swordsmen, and we're going to take a real good look at these low-level tier 1 troops. So they are melee infantry with good armor. They hold the line, allowing other units to exploit the enemy's defenses. They have a bunch of modifiers in this game, and the health and damage that you see is not base stats. Base stats, you will have to create an account and start from scratch to see what they actually look like. I do not have pictures with all this. So now we are going to go into the tier 2 swordsman unit, which is also known as the silver swordsman. And that does matter, as there are equipment in the game that calls these guys silver swordsmen. And you can also note that in a battle they have a silver outline to their icon. So these are also good at holding a line of troops while the rest of your troops can exploit their weaknesses. And what this means is they will tank most of your damage, while your high damage output units wreak havoc upon these units because they can't reach them. Alright, and again, the modifiers are to my current research and development into my city. So tier 2 is where they start to give you a second type or class of unit. This is going to be your axemen unit. Axemen are really awesome as well. They are melee infantry excelling at hand-to-hand combat. Their wild attacks damage all nearby enemy battalions. Meaning, if you have them following your silver swordsman, that your axes are going to hit not 1, not 2, but potentially 3 units or battalions at a time. That is what makes axemen so devastating in actual field battles. As for your tier 3 units, these are now your gold swordsmen. Their icon in a battle is determined with a gold border around the icon. And they too are exceptional at holding a line. Each one gets bigger and stronger the more you go up, tier 3 being the last units currently available in the game. And you also have your veteran axemen. And we'll take a look at them. These icons at the bottom, I will explain in just one second, as we will go back to the tier 2 units. And your swords are giant slayers. They excel at killing large battalions of units, meaning they wipe out archers and other ranged units rather easily. However, they still take a lot of damage. These guys will ignore walls. They won't attack a wall. There's not many units in the game that actually do attack walls, and we will cover that in just a moment. So now we will move over here to our ranged units and go down to the tier 1 militia archers. So what they do is they're long-ranged infantry units. Good city defenders. Their rain of arrows can damage multiple enemy battalions. Meaning they can sit on a platform behind your walls and just keep shooting enemies over the wall indefinitely until the unit itself is killed. So now we'll go to your tier 2 archers. They are long ranged as well and quite stronger, just their health lacks quite a bit as far as compared to swordsmen. This is why they are much easier to kill. Now, your crossbowmen are quite different than your regular archers. These are ranged infantry, and they fire in bursts, and they pack a serious punch. They excel at destroying large enemy battalions because they can sit in a tower and just shoot indefinitely until the unit is dead. They have a very long range at 130 for the tier 2s, which is also the same as the regular archers. And when we move into the veteran archers, you can see that their range is still 130 as well. But they also pack a lot bigger punch than the tier 2 predecessors. On your crossbowmen for tier 3, they definitely hit a lot harder. They also have a lot more health. They can take a lot more damage. They are quite fast as far as speed goes, if you've been paying attention, because I have not covered that. My bad. So now we're going to look at our mounted units. These guys are insanely fast. They have high health, and they're mounted troops. They ignore watchtowers, so they won't hit anybody in a tower ever. They will never climb onto your walls. They will never hit an archer there, ever. So they crash into the fray, dealing damage to all nearby enemy battalions. Meaning as soon as they speed race to get to the fight, they're jumping straight in and they're hitting everything they can. As for your tier 2 cavalry, you can tell they grow quite a bit as far as health goes. You're looking at almost 10,000 health for a tier 2 unit, which is insanely high compared to what the swordsmen are. And they are really fast and have a high carrying capacity. As well as the icon here with the fist, that has been the depiction of how much power each individual unit will give you in terms of military power. So now we'll go to your lancers, which are the stronger attacking mounted units, just less beefy as far as they don't have the health a regular cavalryman does. But they definitely have the damage. So these are high damage mounted melee troops. They are the fastest unit on the battlefield. Their massive damage excels at destroying large enemy battalions, and they also ignore watchtowers. And as you can tell, with a damage of 152, Lancers definitely hold the top damage in the game. So now we are going to go to our tier 3 units and look into what they can do. So as you can tell, I have definitely boosted my troops as far as through research and other various modifying factors. And to be able to have almost 16,000 health on a tier 3 cavalry unit is pretty impressive. I mean, that's a lot of health to go through for one unit. As well as the 40 damage. I mean, after a while, with all the health, that damage will accumulate fairly well. And then we will now look at the veteran lancers. And they give a tremendous amount of power, as well as they literally hit the hardest out of anything else in the game. Especially when you can have a bunch of them all behind a bunch of tier 3 regular cavalry. These guys go insane. Literally insane. So now we're going to go over here and look at our siege units, which are the siege weapons. There is no tier 1 siege unit. And we'll just start these off with the tier 1 or tier 2 ballistas. Or no, we'll go catapults. That's the ones the game starts you with. Okay. So your catapults, they are an assault machine that fires arced projectiles over large distances, and they are effective against infantry. Well, what that means is when you have them in a battlefield and you have a couple of swords units in the front and you've got these guys coming in behind them, whatever your swords are fighting, that catapult is about to hit everything else around. So if your 2 units are fighting, or your 2 battalions are fighting, say 4 or 5 battalions, the area of effect damage off of these catapults will accumulate all the damage to all 5 of the enemy battalions. Or 4, however many we're going with here. And they do have a decent range of 130, which is the same as arrows, or your archer units and your crossbow units, which is really good too. And they have a considerable amount of health as well. So now we are going to go ahead and look at your ballistas. Ballistas are highly mobile assault machines that fire large bolts. They are highly effective against other machines. Now, these guys, they're also really good at defending your city. They shoot over your walls, they hit units, and they do a ton of damage. I mean, the only thing they don't do is they don't hit multiple units or battalions. They only hit one at a time. That is the only problem with them. However, their fire rate is pretty good in this game, so you will definitely be wanting ballistas on your teams. So now we're going to go look at the battering ram. Yes, this game has a battering ram because there are a lot of gates in this game. So these are siege machines that use an impact weapon to breach defenses. They are highly effective against gates. They don't really want to fight other units. They have an insane amount of health. They do an insane damage, but it only is damage to gates. They don't really want to fight other units. So now we're going to move on to the trebuchet. Now, trebuchet are pretty nice in this game. They are siege machines capable of firing arced projectiles over enormous distances. Its size prohibits it from engaging effectively with smaller units. So what that means is you're going to want your trebuchets to be in behind some other faster moving units so that they have time to set up and prepare for their assault on an enemy gate or wall or wherever you're choosing to attack with these trebuchet. They are also highly effective at defending your city against other siege weapons. These machines are one of the only units in the game that will straight up target siege machines. So they are very effective against other siege. So now we're going to move on to the tier 3 units. I don't have them all unlocked yet. I'm only missing the heavy trebuchet and the heavy ballistas. So we'll first start off with the heavy catapults. They are considerably stronger. And they have a little bit longer of a range, as well as much more health out of it. You can also get a lot more power out of these, as they are almost 35,000 power each machine, which your battalions don't really take a whole lot. I'm keep level 28, and my barracks, which directly affect your battalion size, as well as some research that also affects battalion size. But where I am currently, a full battalion is only 32 units. So it's not really that many, but they do an insane amount of damage, so you don't really need 100 of these in just one battalion. It just wouldn't be necessary. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the heavy battering rams, when I can get over there to them. So these guys definitely have a lot more health compared to most of the other units in the game. They are rocking a 40,500 health. Now they also have 153,000 power, which is really good for bolstering your military power if you're just going by the number. But they also have their uses when paired with other champions, such as Isadora, who is a battering ram specialist, will increase their damage, increase their defenses from normal damage taken, as well as give a boost to both the rams as well as other units, and we will cover that here in just a bit as well. So the next unit that we're going to do is a heavy ballista, and they definitely have a lot more range than most other units and give a lot of power, and they are definitely worth the investment. And moving on, we will go into the heavy trebuchet, and these are the final unit in the game to unlock as far as siege machines go. And as you can tell, they don't have as much health, but they do a lot of damage, and they have an insane amount of range. Now their speed, very lackluster there, but there are ways to improve speed on siege weapons through research. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you why or how some of my units have so much health and attack and other various things. So we're going to go here to my academy. It is level 27, and we're going to go into research. And as you can tell, there is a ton of research in this game. I mean a literal ton of research. So as you can tell, up in the top right corner, I have 349 out of 392 in combat. So I have pushed my combat research insanely much. The game starts you out with your militia swordsmen, your militia archers, and your militia cavalry. Everything else you have to unlock. And there are other various things in the game that help bolster stuff like this. So you've got your suspiciously good PvE damage. This will increase your damage to NPC units, which is astronomically good in this game. And you can research individual units' damages, overall troop health, advanced training, which is training speed, and you can make them cheaper to build. You can increase their health more per individual unit. You can make them cheaper to send out. And there are several suspiciously good research in this game. The best that is, as far as player versus player goes, would be the suspiciously good PvP damage. What this does is it gives you a 100% damage to player units. So basically, you get almost 1,000,000 power. I mean, 820,000, we'll call it. And you get an insane boost to the damage your units will do to somebody else's units. It's insane. The very last 3 units in the combat section to unlock are your veteran crossbows, your veteran axemen, and your veteran lancers. And you can also increase the damage they do to buildings, as well as there is another for troop damage, troop health, and troop heal speed. But this is only one way to bolster your units. Your siege, they get bolstered by your siege research. As you can tell, I have done some. I have not pushed really anything into rams, as I do not really have very many and have never really used them very often. So as you can tell, I have pushed a lot into the ballista damage, because ballistas have a long range and they do a good bit of damage. And I am slowly working on getting my way to the next unit, which is the heavy ballistas. And then you can go on down to the heavy trebuchet and the other various ways to bolster your siege units. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go here to your blacksmith. So as I said before, there are other various ways to bolster and make your troops stronger. So we're going to go to crafting, and you're going to see all these menus right here. So on your battalion equipment, this is for all of your infantry, your cavalry, and your ranged units. It will give them their weapons and armor. And for your siege, it will give you their weapons and ammo, as well as frames and other things that will increase their health or damage. And there are a lot. Currently there are 4, I believe. No, I think there's only 3. There's 3 weapons as far as tiers. You've got your common, your uncommon, and your rares. The rares are very hard to make, but give you the biggest bolster as far as unit damage, at a 20% unit damage, which is the maximum level of a iron short sword. At level 4, it will have 20% unit damage, making the rares a little better as far as you can upgrade them farther than what the 20% is. We also have noble equipment, such as the executioner equipment. If you're going to do more player versus player, you will want stuff like the rare executioner's garb, which will give them a 10% bonus to their defense and offense in PvP, as well as a 10% increase to your assault defense. And then you look at the executioner's sword, and it'll give you a 10% infantry unit damage, which is any of your infantry units, which is swordsmen, axemen, or a 10% damage to your machine units, and that goes to any of your machines, as well as a wound duration, which will, if you're doing player versus player, it will lengthen the amount of time that they have to heal their troops after you have fought them. And then you have units like, or nobles like captains, and they are more for NPCs. So what you'll do is you'll make their armor, and you'll get a player versus environment boost instead of a player versus player. And finally, as another way to bolster your units, you will go to your champions, and as you can tell, I have a ton of champions and a ton of stars on them, and they are all for various different things. We talked of Isadora earlier and her battering rams, so we will look at her. She has a battering ram slot. You can only equip her with a tier 2 or tier 3 battering ram unit only. Nothing else. That's it. So she will also give a 60% increase to your battering ram's damage because she is level 5. Whenever you promote her, she will go on up further beyond that. That is just the level 5 1-star Isadora. It's a passive skill. So if you have battering rams on another champion that is leading a battalion, then that 60% boost will also increase their damage. Isadora also is a combat expert, which increases the defense against normal damage for units in this champion's battalion slot by 60%. And again, this is for the level 5 Isadora. Commanding Presence is an activated ability that the game will automatically activate these abilities. And other various champions will have their own unique ones, or they won't. Some of them are not giving to these activated abilities. So when this is triggered, this ability will increase the attack of your battalion by 10% and the defense of nearby friendly battalions by 10%. And again, that is for the level 5 1-star Isadora. Whenever you promote her and level her up, it will automatically increase Commanding Presence to the upgrade of 15% and 15%. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the game's only champion that it gives you by completing most of the story quest. So Basilia here is a swordsman commander, or a champion. We'll go ahead and look at her. She is a brilliant strategist and leader. Her combat capabilities are nearly unmatched. She will increase the health of swordsmen under her command. And as a combat expert, units in her battalion have increased normal damage defense. And her ability Tactical Mastermind increases the attack and defense of units in her battalion only, unfortunately. So, again, all level 5 1-star champions are going to, or all level 5 1-star epic champions are going to give a 60% increase to their respective unit, as well as a 60% combat expert passive ability. The Tactical Mastermind is one that will change based off of which champion we're looking at. So when triggered, like I said, this ability will increase the attack by 5% and the defense by 10% of your battalion. And on promotion, it will go to a 10% attack increase and a 15% defense increase for her battalion only. Oh, and I did forget one thing in the blacksmith that I meant to cover is your banners. So you have an army banner and a city banner. The city banners are banners that will increase units attack and defense inside your own city. Army banners, however, will provide a much better this is in every battle banner. So most people like to stick to the noble lion, which will increase the unit or the damage to human targets by 8% and damage to infantry units by 8%. So combined, if you're hitting another player's swordsman, you already have 16% extra damage going into that. And this is for level 1. They have a maximum level of 4. Your Regal Griffin here does the exact same thing as far as for the human portion, but they also do 8% damage to mounted units instead of infantry units. And if you've made it to this part of the video, guys, thank you for all your support. I truly appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.